Welcome, Wapplers from around the world. This is our, I can't believe it, April 2025 monthly meetup. Glad you could join us today. And thank you for watching on YouTube. You are a Wappler that has a special talent or special trick that you like to use or shortcut, please reach out. We'd love to show off what you have on the forum, including any Wappler sites that you developed. I'm going to welcome John Stanton here and the rest of the gang. And we will get started. Jeff, you're using Wappler part-time. What type of sites you planning to develop?
Well, my full-time job's a pastor, and so I do a lot of developing for churches, nonprofits, organizations that float around in the nonprofit world, foster care places, or different things like that. A lot of background stuff. So I use Wappler to develop a site where, while I preach, people can send in an email and it pops up to a screen, and I see the questions and I can answer people's questions while I preach. I can click on the question and then it goes up to our big screen in the auditorium, things like that. And then a lot of different financial things to help nonprofits be able to track stuff and manage volunteers.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Amen. And thank you for your service to our communities. So, is anybody here using Wappler beta, and what version are you using? You can put it in the chat if you'd like.
26, the latest one came out yesterday.
Yeah, that update worked fine. I just had a problem with Zoom. Let's see. Brad's always using the latest. He's on 26 as well.
Yeah, I'm like Brad. As soon as it comes out, I update to it, and then if there's suddenly a problem, I panic.
Makes life interesting.
Yeah.
I see Apple with us the first time. You want to? Would you like to say hello or say something to the group? Love to hear from you. If you're so inclined.
Yeah. Good morning. I think I've been in the group, but not always. I'm in Washington D.C. area, and have been involved with Wappler for about 5 years now, but not sure. That's why I have some question. I'm not sure where it's going in terms of its support for apps. The website may be okay, but I went to Wappler as a platform where I can do both web and app development at the same time. So, but with other options out there and Wappler itself, I just wanted to come here and see what people are seeing, what is going on. In terms of support for apps.
Well, let's open it up to the group. Unfortunately, I won't be able to help you with apps. I can help with websites, but does anybody have any insight for Oliver on Wappler support for Android and iOS apps?
I tried it, but didn't get far enough. So I think that I do still think Wappler is seriously lacking in the mobile app development area. Every now and again, they put a lot of focus on it, and you think, we're sorted. But it's, yeah, I don't think, not for me anyway, not at the moment. I wish it was.
The Wappler is an extremely powerful platform, does a lot of things really well. And there's a lot of excitement around the AI features that are being incorporated. Would anybody like to share their experience with Wappler and AI? got a really quiet group today.
I haven't used any of the new AI stuff that was incorporated, but if anyone has, I mean, I'd love to hear it. I was pretty fascinated when it got added on. I'd already kind of written some APIs with ChatGPT and whatnot, but the fact that it's incorporated now is very interesting. So actually to work on Wappler.
Yeah, I dabbled briefly, just done a few simple things. Getting Copilot connected was a doddle. Um, I'm there's been some chat in the forum about it. I'm very on the fence about the whole AI thing. I think for me it's where I use AI the most is database queries, things like that. If I want to do something fairly complex, rather than really scratch my head working out how to do it all, like just say to ChatGPT or whatever, right, these are the tables I've got, this is the results that I want, how do I do it? That said, it doesn't give you a foolproof result, but it gets you a lot further along to getting the final result. And doing that within Wappler is going to be helpful. I'm still not convinced. I like the team spending so much time on that. There are still things that I would rather see in Wappler, because things like this you can do anyway, even if it means flicking out to ChatGPT or whatever. So you don't need it to be within Wappler. That's my personal take on it. I'd rather see other things built into Wappler that really are Wappler specific. So I'm just reading
What
Apple's
did you say
post.
about John, you and Copilot? You said something at the beginning I missed.
Yeah, Copilot is what I mean. Wappler now uses multiple AI models, but Copilot is the main one.
Mm-hmm.
And Apple's just posted in the chat, pretty much, I think, saying he's largely the same as me.
He was using a Copilot, then jumped to Cody. Now he's using Windsurf and Cursor. He hasn't dabbled much in Wappler AI.
Yeah, he's happy using
He's
the
happy
external
using
tools.
external AI tools as well.
Yeah.
The it's amazing though, AI being in the infancy that it is. It's amazing to me how good it is so far. I mean, it's nowhere close to perfect, but it's blowing me away. But the future is going to be very interesting to see what happens next. We're talking to like educators and folks in the religious community. There's all kinds of moral questions coming up, like cheating on tests, and the list grows exponentially from there. That's crazy. Well, Apple, thank you for your comments. We do appreciate that. That's cool. We've got like to welcome Bob, the Iceman from Lake of the Ozarks, is with us today. Among other things, he's a captain of a boat and a rock and roller. So him and Bob and Keith Richards have two things in common: they can't be killed by conventional means. So anybody else have any thoughts on AI? Some folks coming in here. Let's see, when, if Wappler comes to server actions. Oh, okay. Apple mentions when and if Wappler AI comes to server actions, it would be wonderful. Well, that's an interesting point. Server actions are pretty black and white. You do this, you do that. That should be relatively easy to program, I would think. I figure. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
Having it in server actions, I think, will be wonderful. I'm totally with him on that, but it's got to be very transparent.
Very what?
that we know exactly what, because of course server actions we're used to seeing a flowchart or a tree structure, and if AI is gonna build, put in queries and conditions and repeats and all of that, we've got to know exactly what it's doing. You can't just assume that AI has done exactly what you want it to do. So long as it's transparent, they've got a way of saying, right, this is what it's come back with. Do you want to use this? And you then click yes, I do, and then it builds it out. Then great. That's the way it's got to be in my view.
At the very least. That brings up a question that I've always had. I'm a designer, not a programmer, not a developer. Um, there's got to be a way to create some type of a testing platform or test test the APIs to make sure they're doing what we think they're doing, more of in an automated fashion versus going through one manual test at a time. Although the manual test at a time is, especially if you can stair step your way in, this is always a good thing to do.
Yeah, I like that because sometimes I feel like using AI to do coding ends up taking me longer because I could have coded it in the same amount of time it takes me to read what it did and try to figure out what it's trying, the way it's trying to do it. So if I know it works, then I think one thing that AI could be helpful with in like server actions, because like you mentioned, Mark, they're fairly easy to build out, which is a great strength of Wappler. I hate the tedious part where I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I'll have an app or a site where I'm like, I kind of have to do a very similar server action over and over, with like minor changes to each one, and having to build out each one sometimes is annoying. So it'd be nice if AI could help modify. Hey, I want a server action just like this, except da 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 da. That might be nice.
That's interesting. But does anybody have any experience copying server action from one site over to another site and making changes? I haven't tried that myself, but it seems like it would be something that would be copy and paste and then
They added copy and paste not fairly recently, a while back now. I couldn't get it to work, and I didn't need it, and never gone back to it. So I'm assuming it does work because no one else has complained. But I was doing Command C, Command V, right click copy, doing all the usual stuff, and it wasn't doing it. So I've carried on not having that facility. Don't know why. Bob might be able to shed some light on it if he's used it.
I use this. I just copy and paste the files from. I mean, outside of Wappler, I just copy and paste the relevant, PHP or whatever file it is, and it works fine. Obviously, the database is, you've got to have the same fields, and often I do have tables which are identical, and if not, I can tweak it. But typically, I'll have exactly the same database scheme in the background, and it works fine. Except when you're upgrading from one version of WAP to another, then that doesn't always work. But in principle, it works fine.
Yeah, I was thinking more of working within a server action file and being able to, copy stuff either from one file to another or
Right.
the same file, which it didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, I think I was doing
check it again.
Right. Yeah.
It would save time if it worked. And I can't believe it doesn't work because it was a broadcast feature and there was a lot of praise for it. And I just tried it, didn't work, and I moved on.
Is this copying sections from a server action or the whole file?
Sections from within.
Oh, sorry. I'm talking about just the whole server action files. Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is so that if you were, I don't know.
Oh, I know. Yes. Chunks of it should. Yeah. I haven't really tried that much. No.
I've tried it both ways, copying the whole file in chunks, and I've gotten both to work. but sometimes it's just so tedious to go in and make all the tiny little changes. I mean, Tom, if you keep your database structure exactly the same from site to site, and props to you.
Certain
not that-
tables. No. Only certain tables where I have, functionality which goes across different systems. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, Bob, what do you have to say today?
I thought it started in 45 minutes. I'm late.
You're right on time.
Oh, okay, well, I thought I was 45 minutes early, and I guess the daylight savings time thing's still messing me up on what time I'm supposed to do this. So I just dialed in. I had some audio issues, so I'm not even really sure where we're at discussion wise.
We just
had an
finished.
open conversation about Wappler, AI, and different techniques. And John had some nasty things to say about you, but I won't repeat those.
I'm used to it. I guess I don't know where we're discussion wise where we're at. I've used the AI some. I kind of had an issue with the way the undo was working, and I haven't the newest version. I haven't had a chance, because if I make a change to a page, and I go, oh, that's not what I want, I should be able to just go undo, and it should undo all the changes, but it's not. It layers those changes in there, and so I don't know how far back to undo to go to where I was. I mean, I see whether you can copy and paste or you can accept the changes one at a time, kind of, but I haven't. I've just been so busy doing some other stuff. I really haven't had much time to really mess with it much yet.
Well, the AI is definitely going to be revolutionary, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I've prepared a little demo on an API that I had all kinds of help with from the community, including John and Bob. And would you guys be interested in let me walk through it? All right,
Sure.
awesome. I apologize at first because Zoom pushed out a update and it went sideways on me. So I'm doing this from the same computer. It's going to take me just a second. Plus on my first time.
I tell you where the AI really helps me a lot, I guess, is I'm not the greatest at cascading style sheets at CSS, and and it's great just always like, hey, how do I do this, or how do I, my icon won't go where I need it to go, or whatever, and boy, that ends up helping me out personally a lot.
We all have that's interesting. We all have our strengths and weaknesses.
Well, and it's great too. Like I said, the one thing I've used the AI portion of it the most is doing all the meta tags. I mean, I'm just like, read the text on the page, create the meta tags I need to rank well in search engines, and it'll do it does the normal ones, the meta description, meta naming, that stuff. But it also does like the Facebook ones. It'll do the X Twitter ones or whatever, and create those tags. And so, it'll add 15 lines of code to a page that's all search engine optimization that I didn't do. I mean, you end up having to go in and fine tune it a little bit, but it gets it really, really close. I mean, I'm actually pretty amazed. I'm like, oh, this is actually a useful feature.
I can see that working much like server actions, because it's a published library of tags, and the AI models are built to surf and learn from content, so that should be a natural. But John, can you see my screen, my Wappler?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. The we we did it. Bob hosted a meetup in what month was that last year, Bob?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. I've slept since then.
Like June or so last year about APIs that got me started on this. And I wanted to build an API that could send an email through a reliable service like Postmark, and also be able to capture delivery events and open events and click events. And with the help of the community, and I thank you all for your assistance, I was able to accomplish that. I have an API here that is that sends an email through Postmark. Postmark. Can you see my Postmark browser now? No. Change the share. Postmark. Okay. Postmark has some awesome documentation on their everything you need to know is detailed out specifically from endpoints to webhooks and everything in between. I created a template. There's a couple different ways to send emails with Postmark. You can send emails. I start with, they have different messaging streams. They have transactional streams that you would use for like password resets or sending out an individual invoice. They also have broadcast emails where you would send like from an email list. But you can actually create your own designs, or you can use their templates, or you can create a template and put it on Postmark. So you go to, in Postmark, you go to the template section, and there's a dummy template that I had created, and you can see a preview of what the template looks like. You can edit the content. You can see the text. It's I've got nothing but good things to say about Postmark. It's been awesome to work with. So with that said, I'm going to go back to Wappler. Is my Wappler showing now?
Yep.
Okay. So the all we have is an API action. I gave it an ID of API. I'm outputting it, and I'm passing errors. I had some issues with this in version 6.8, but version 7 beta something or another, this started to work. Patrick had updated something with the errors. Does anybody have any input on what output, throw errors, and pass errors do? What it does? And I know it doesn't work without them. So,
Yeah, output is, it just throws that out in the JSON of the script.
right.
Yeah, I'm guessing throw errors, it will stop if there are any errors, and pass errors will pass them.
Apple mentioned this on the post. Is just jumped in the chat. No one should use pass error. It causes more trouble to diagnose when something fails.
Because you get a shed load.
That excellent advice. Thank you. I discovered that the hard way. Then I saw his post. The way it always works. In any event, the Postmark has its URL, which is defined in their docs with templates. We're using a method of post, and we're using a JSON data type, which seems to be pretty standard with APIs. At this point, I haven't put in the authorization on that. That's something I need to dig into yet. Okay, Apple also says an API was answering an HTTP status 500. So with past errors, one would see the entire service action throwing a 500 instead of just an error message saying the API action is failing. Interesting. So we stay away from throw errors for the time being. That's good advice. Thanks, Apple. The API is made up of a couple different levels. One is the, besides the JSON data we're sending, it's also the headers. These are the headers that are required for Postmark. It accepts application JSON. The content type is application JSON, and the X Postmark server token is the token of the server that I had created on Postmark to actually send the emails. And that's the totality of the API. Really simple. The documentation is awesome. And something that I didn't know is, and I got to change screens again. When you take an API like this and open it in a browser, it actually runs the API, and that sends the email. That's what I've been using for testing purposes. And
Doing that in the browser is really good because you also get the response.
yes,
So you can see everything going out and coming back. So it's really good to make sure it's all working properly.
can you see my browser now?
Yep.
And that's it. You get the API status code and all the information that was sent. And the email was sent to my personal email address. It's that simple. My next plan is to next week I can or next month I can show you how to demonstrate how I've been capturing click events and opens and whatnot. I was going to say something, my mind just went blank.
That's all excellent.
The next step for this is adding personal information, so we can send out personal emails with either account information or using people's names or whatever to personalize it. Does anybody have any questions?
What's your actual end goal with this? What's your ultimate aim? What's this building towards becoming? Because it sounds like it's like a MailChimp competitor.
What competitor?
MailChimp?
MailChimp. Oh,
It is equivalent to MailChimp.
the in constant contact is the same thing, but I found that that using constant contact has been unreliable. And if I assume MailChimp is the same way, if somebody unsubscribes to an email, getting the same email address to resubscribe. I've worked with it, like Jeff. I work with some nonprofit, religious and otherwise. And when we'll send out an email to, and somebody in the board of directors will forward the email to somebody because they want them to see the information. And whoever they forward the email to unsubscribes. And then now my board members now unsubscribed, happen to be the president. And so the president's not getting email and calling me saying, why am I not getting my emails? And going through constant contact is like an act of God to get them to resubscribe it again. But also to gauge engagement. Who's opening the emails? Constant contact and MailChimp will tell you who's opening the emails, but you've got to dig into it. It's one person at a time. You want to figure out who opened up the emails this week or this month. You could, Wappler has the ability to put together a list of people who didn't open the email, or at the end of a year, end of a quarter, you can judge who's opening emails and who's not. And if you have somebody in your audience who's not opening up emails, there's a reason for that. And if you can identify them, you can reach out and find out why and re-engage them again with constant at scale. With Constant Contact or MailChimp, you can't do that. So that's where I'm headed with it.
And I think that the it's also it helps sustain domain credibility. So if you're just you depending on where you're hosting and what they're doing, because a lot of times you're on shared servers, there's a bunch of other websites and they can all be doing shady stuff, and then that can blacklist your website for sending emails, and all of a sudden the spam robots won't let you send email because it's like your credibility's lost. Where with using services like this, they do all kinds of stuff to make sure that their credibility stays good, so you don't get the spam stuff doesn't eat up all your email.
Right. And I should add that you need to configure your DNS servers appropriately for things like SPF, DKIM, DMARC, and there's a couple more that you have to make it reliable. And then the other thing is if you're sending a lot of emails, for 10,000 or more, you need to warm up the IP address. You can't just start sending emails, tens of thousands of emails all at once. You start off small and work your way up.
Well, I've written scripts where, let's say I have a ton of emails I want to send, and then I use the Wappler's scheduler and just go boom, send an email. Okay, wait 30 seconds. Okay, boom, send another email, and just have it sit there and rotate through my list and send it slowly. Then it doesn't look like I'm spamming.
Right.
I've done that with cron jobs. Yeah.
Yeah, same way.
I'll tell you another thing that I've only come across. Well, I've known about it for a long time, but I've only actually actively used it recently. Is Amazon SES, their simple email service, which is ridiculously cheap. It's like $1 for 10,000 emails, and works very well. Amazon SES. So it's all part of the Amazon Web Services. You just sign up for a free account, and then you just pay $1. It's $1 for 10,000 emails.
Can you put the URL in the chat?
Yeah. Give me a sec.
Is it like the same account as you'd use the S3 stuff for?
Yes, it probably is. I haven't got an S3 with Amazon, so
It's something with on AWS.
it's all part of AWS. Yeah, I mean they've got a raft of services, and this is just one of them. But the pricing is staggering, and I've used it for a few non-profit organizations that I do work for, and we had to send out a load of emails, and it just worked, and you get all the same sort of stats and everything, but a fraction of the price. MailChimp is just horrifically expensive because they make you use their whole infrastructure for everything, whereas with this Amazon, peanuts. I hate mass mailing, so I try and avoid it anyway, because it's you can come unstuck so easily. But if I had to do it, that's SES is what I'd be using now.
With your experiences, your opinion, what's the actual delivery? Is the delivery reliable?
Yeah.
Sending emails is easy. Getting them delivered is hard. Getting them open is even harder.
Yeah, well, making them open is down to the content. So so long as you miss their spam folder, that's the job of Amazon done. Whether they open it and whether they click on anything is a whole different area.
Right. The quality of the list and the quality of the subject line and the quality of the domain.
Yeah.
Cool. That's good. I'll have to check that out. Thank you for bringing that up.
That's all right, and you can connect to it. It's got APIs and all the usual stuff, so you could use that in a Wappler project. I haven't. I use another service to link in with it, but yeah.
I've been experimenting with through One Signal sending push notifications too. So because I'm designing a new site for bands that do scheduling and keeping the bands in contact, and it's a web app. I'm not going to do it to the stores, so you can have an iPad and have whatever, just run this thing, and so that they have the choice of receiving messages through email, SMS, or push notifications. So that's pretty cool, you know, because then you know my Apple Watch, the notifications will pop up, and it'll stack the notifications on your device like normal apps do, while you're actually just doing a web app and not an actual mobile app. So that's pretty cool.
What service was that? One Signal.
One Signal.
Is
Yeah,
that
I think onesignal.com,
Mostly.
and who was it? I got that from, I can't remember if it was Ben or it was Brian. I always get those guys mixed up on which one's which because they're both so good. But the last one that gave a Friday meetup, he was showing the API from One Signal, so that's why I started messing with that one.
And that
would be
works
right.
with just like PHP, not the Node.js.
That's correct. Yes, you're just calling an API. You just format the stuff the way you want to send it, and boom, shoot it. And it, the Apple side of it, you have to like take your app and you have to like save it to your desktop to get it to function to get the push notifications. But with Android stuff, you don't. You just have to go in and say, yeah, you know, you got to set up a button that gives them permission to receive the push notifications, and then so it seems to work pretty good.
I'm just looking it up, and is it right that you get unlimited mobile push in the free
Yes,
$0?
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the pushes don't cost anything, but there's a little bit more to get your client to push on the button to say, I want to accept, you know, they got to jump through a couple hoops, but from with what I'm doing, I think it's going to work great.
Nice. I've
So
got
if-
exactly the project that I'd want to use that on, so I might be in touch, Bob.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I do too. I had no idea about that. So if they have Apple, they just have to drag that icon onto their desktop on their phone.
It's no, yeah, yes, but it's not a drag. It's you open and you have to open it from the Safari. So you open it from Safari and it's add to my desktop. And then once it's added to your desktop, then it functions like an app, even though it's still being browser based, and you can receive push notifications.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What,
Do you get into service workers and all of that? Have you got to that level as a web app?
What's that?
Have you got service workers and all the other web app stuff involved, or have you just got it literally as a web page?
No, I've just got it literally as a web page.
Cool.
So, because I was thinking, you know, I figured it would be usable on more devices that way versus trying to constantly and that it kind of gives me the back end of doing subscriptions through Stripe or something, and not having to deal with Apple's however they do their stuff, and I can have more control of that kind of stuff by doing it as a web page versus doing it actually as an app. Like at some point maybe I'll go to an app, but this is up and running and it works.
And now Apple have seemingly approved of web apps again, because they did. Was it last year? They blocked, might have been push notifications, something like that they weren't allowing on Apple devices for web apps. and they then backtracked on it, and now they do again.
Yeah.
So web apps are the way to go because you're in complete control.
Yeah, I agree.
I did one for a charity event whereby we were scanning barcodes or QR codes, and so I got a cheap barcode scanner. It's only $40, something like that, and Bluetooth to an iPhone or whatever, and a web app fully developed in Wappler to receive the scan and then process the data, and that was done as a web app and works well.
So like what are you scanning? The QR code on the device
QR code, QR code.
on a user's device?
No, on a it's an event, so they have like a number on their vest pinned on.
Okay.
The QR code is with the number, so that is then scanned by the marshals, so you can know where people are along the route.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So people just have iPhones in their pocket and a scanner in their hand and just go blip blip blip. And it uses data store in Wappler to keep the scans locally on the device because there's a really dodgy cell net connection. So if you haven't got a signal, you're still retaining what you're scanning, and then it bulk uploads when there is a signal. So I was going to use CouchDB, but ended up not needing to. So I do it all with data store. So it's just a two-stage. The scan puts it in the data store, and then you click a button to upload it all, and everything in the data store gets uploaded. And when it gets a success response from the server, it empties the data store, and you then crack on.
Cool.
So
all done within Wappler.
what happens if they push the button to upload the data store, but they don't have a connection?
It fails.
It fails.
Unless it waits for the 200 response from the server, and it only gets that after the data is uploaded and been processed. If the data is not processed, it doesn't get the response, so it doesn't delete it from the data store. So you get to try again.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
Now
So
Wappler doesn't have
sorry, go on.
Wappler doesn't have a native way to read QR codes, so that was an API you used.
No, it actually, the scanner, it works really well. The scanner, when it scans a QR code, as far as the device is concerned, the scanner is a keyboard. So if the QR code contains 1234, when you scan it, you are typing 1234 return. So all you do is you have in your web app an invisible input field. And so long as that has got the focus, pulling the trigger on the scanner, types in the number and hits return, and then the form is processed just like someone has typed it in on a keyboard. So there's no fancy trickery at all.
You can just use a regular text input, and if it has focus, and it'll show you what the scanner's bringing back.
Yeah, I just the input
idea.
so that it looks nicer.
That's cool. I had no idea that it worked like.
Yeah, they're very clever, and the scanners are really, really cheap. So I've got half a dozen of them. So all the different marshals all have a scanner and an iPhone, and you can program the scanner to work in different ways. So you can say put a return at the end or not. The scanner itself can retain what it scans if you want it to, but I don't like that because you can't see what's in it. I'd rather it be stored in the device, so you then got actual data that you can manipulate, work with. So hence using data store. So it's a good, if anyone ever needs scanning and things like that, it will work with barcodes, QR codes, and you creating the QR codes really easy. There are plenty of APIs and whatever for doing that. But the company that make the sheets that you pin onto your front, we just said to them, put a QR code, and this is the structure of it, and they've included that in the printing. Barcodes, you just use a Google font, and the scanner works with them as well.
Yeah, because I used on the high tech fab site, they when the orders come through, I call an API and I call a PDF API, and it creates the work order number as a barcode on the order. So then when the shipping guys come through and they get the order, they just go whoop and just pull it straight off the thing. Bam, they know which order it is and what's contained, and it's all super easy.
Yeah. You think with barcodes and QR codes and all of that, it's going to be really, really complicated. But when you break it down,
It's just text input.
yeah, and it's really refreshing to think, hey, within 10 minutes of me realizing that all the scanner is doing is typing what it scans, suddenly I did a prototype in about 10 minutes and it worked. And it's like, well, this is going to be a piece of cake.
Right.
The hardest bit was working with no phone signal and how to bridge that.
Well, what did you have it set up to do a partial upload, or to where it'll do part of it trying it with like a low bandwidth situation, or is it just it's going to send it all or it's going to send nothing?
I At the moment it's send it all or send nothing, but the people using the device will upload it as often as they can.
Okay.
So in fact, you can within the browser element within Wappler, you can detect whether there's a connection to the server. So what you can do is you could actually use that and say when there's a connection, do an upload in the background, and when there isn't, don't bother trying. Or you could just put an alert up on the screen saying you've got a connection, upload now.
But is that are you doing that through Node.js?
No, this is all PHP.
Okay. Cool.
I'm still stuck in. I've got too many projects that I started years ago that
I have
too
tons of
big.
ASP projects too that I still I trying to convert to .NET as I go, but there's too much code. I can't just go, oh, I'm just going to start from scratch.
No, no. I'm if they ever decide to drop PHP completely from Wappler, then I'm screwed.
Yeah.
So I really, but I totally get there are people that say no, you should be on Node, you should be on Node, and I do get that. But you've got too much history. There's too much stuff that's just been built and works.
Yeah.
My question is, what's coming after Node?
My money's on Go.
Go?
Go, yeah, I reckon Go is. And I think George might have actually hinted a couple of years ago that that's on their radar. My worry is I think PHP has been out for so long that it will always be, whereas Node is still relatively new. And I've just got this feeling that I don't know it's going to have the longevity that PHP will have. And I can see 5 years' time or 10 years' time, PHP will still be going and Node will have passed away. I hope I'm wrong, but that's my worry.
I mean, it's so much easier just to set up an Apache server and run PHP, and tons of people know it. There's tons of code. You don't have to reinvent stuff. It's just, it's solid.
Well, when you've got big sites like Facebook still built on PHP, although they're starting to introduce others, but the core, I mean, WordPress is PHP.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think it's going anywhere, and it's been actively developed. There's new versions still coming out all the time,
Right.
so it's certainly not dead. Have some heated discussions on all of that.
Well, it's been a wonderful conversation today. I want to thank everybody for joining in. Does anybody have any, as we're coming up to the top of the hour, we like to keep these to around an hour. Does anybody else have any questions or comments they'd like to interject before we sign off?
Hey, Jeff, I see the Chiefs jersey on. Are you in Missouri?
I'm in Kansas, but I saw your shirt and I have season tickets to Silver Dollar City. That's right. Fire in the hole.
Fire in the hole, baby. Well, cool. I didn't know there was any Wapplers close, so
Yeah, I didn't either.
we'll have to stay in touch.
I go down to Table Rock every year.
I'm at the Lake of the Ozarks. That's all I have.
And I didn't understand any of that.
We're talking in slang.
All right, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Once again, thank you, Wapplers from around the world. Thanks for joining us today. And we wish you all a very safe and prosperous month. We'll see you next month.